Hi, my name is Leah Haley, and this is my video for my interior design 161 class. And I am doing this because I am brilliant, and I didn't talk when I went to the houses. I just did a little voiceover recording, and I'm going to quickly read about the three houses that I chose to do. I'm going to just read the little bio off of um, the Gratz Park website just to give a little background on the house before I jump into doing principles and elements, materials, light and color, and etc. So I'm just going to quickly start. The first house that I did was the Maria Dudley house, and it's located on 215 North Mill Street, and it simply says, the castle-like townhouse of Mrs. Maria B. Dudley was built around 1879, designed by architects Felix London. Mrs. Dudley, who grew up in London House on Castlewood Drive, is said to have wanted a small city house. The land on which it stands was earlier part of the Hunt Morgan garden next door. The house is Victorian, eclectic in style, and featuring an octagonal tower and an etched glass at the entry. Okay, and the second house that I did was Mount Hope, and it's located on 231 North Mill Street. And it says Mount Hope was built in 1819 for General John McCullough, an attorney and editor of the Kentucky Gazette, the first newspaper west of the Alleghenies. Built in the Federal style, it has fluted window frames with carved corner blocks and Flemish bond brickwork. A rear fanlight doorway, along with the enlargement of the rear of the home, was carried out in 1841. Benjamin Gratz, a successful hemp manufacturer, bought the house in 1824, and his descendants lived in it for 160 years until the house was sold in 1985. They use such fancy language. I don't know why I can't just say that they have pretty windows. Okay. And the third house, and my personal favorite that I had did, was the Hope House, and it was located on 304 West 3rd Street. When Caleb Ford built this Greek Revival house in 1841, it fronted on Mill Street. The Reverend Edward F. Berkeley of Christ Church purchased the house in 1845. He baptized Henry Clay in 1847 and conducted Clay's funeral in 1852. Around 1897, Mrs. J. Hull Davidson, David's son, had the house enlarged, remodeled, and reoriented towards 3rd Street. She is said to have wanted the columned porch and fanlight doorway for her daughter's coming out party, but she did not live to see the work completed. And because of these changes, the house is often described as the house that turned its back on Gratz Park, which, when you actually look at it, that is what it looks like. So, without further ado, let's jump into my my analysis type thing of these houses. And at the beginning of each house, I will list the name and the address in the corner somewhere. All right. Bye. So this is your opening view of the Maria Dudley house. You see there's a wooden door. There's a lot of white cemented accents, and the windows are framed with different triangular pyramid and what do you call those things? I don't know, but they're framed, and there's a variety of them. You have different columns decorated that decorate the center of the house, and off to this left side, you have like a mini porch type thing, where I guess you would just kind of step out, and then above that you can see another octagonal form in the back that's kind of peekaboo-ish. And I don't know what I'm doing here, but I see more foliage. And you get kind of a glimpse of the iron gate, but I'll go back to that in a little bit. So going up, we have this at the top of the octagonal form on the left, we have a emphasized octagonal, and then it kind of goes up into a pyramid, and like a little pyramid shape, and then it goes back to being octagonal, definitely emphasizing the castle-like feel, and it has like a little decorative window that mimics the others on the house, um, but it's definitely smaller in terms of scale, and like the other one underneath it, that one's also small, so you can definitely say that the windows on this particular house are not very proportionate. On the top, you also see more of this decorative kind of pattern, along with another size and shape of windows. So that's definitely adding some variety to it. Here you see these two windows in the middle. Okay, atop of that. And then on here we have the little another shape window right here, and there is like a little iron bars that are kind of cross-hatched across each other, kind of like making like a little mesh cover. So that's a interesting feature. Going back down to columns and coming over to the walkway and behind the iron fence. And again, more windows that are definitely like they're triangle sized. And what am I doing? Oh, I'm walking over to the other side of the house to see the driveway, where there is another iron fence and also another octagonal form, which is kind of interesting, but you don't really see it at first glance. And this is the brick wall that separates something. And here you get a little sneak peek of the little tin um, rain shoot thing, and there was little mini street lamp that was there for decoration, but I believe that it would also serve for light purposes. And down here, right here, we have a little keypad where I guess you would put in the number for the gate to open, which it may or may not be a newer feature. Here you have a small little window with bars on it that indicate the presence of a basement, and the decoration on this particular set of gates shows, I guess, that it's a little bit more important than the other ones, and it's another like a feature piece maybe. And again, it's iron. And sneaking a peek behind the gates, you see like a little porch that I did not know was there, but it's a lot bigger than the other one, and it has its own walkway. And it seems that would be the part where people would like come to, socialize, and they would park their car in the back, and that's probably, the main entrance for the family, maybe. But it looks to be made out of wood, and so I am now going to insert a picture of what the house would look like from the angle that I first showed you in the summertime. And here you can see that it's a bright day, so there's definitely a lot of natural light on this. In this particular picture, the natural light is coming from the sun, is coming from the top left, and it's kind of just washing down onto the tower area of the house. And I think a lot of it is blocked from the outer around it, whatever you want to call it, like the trees, the fullness of the trees in this particular season block a lot of the light from coming in, but it's still like really beautiful, and it kind of adds to kind of the exterior color that's going on, because you have like the beautiful forest green, and then you have the brick reds, and then the white that the cement and the cement accent kind of things that add to it. So and then the random wooden door, as random as it is, it still is a very nice touch. And then there's the brick walkway in front of the house that actually even though I don't think it's part of the house, it actually complements the house in a nice way. And even from this picture, with the again with trees, you can't see that there is anything else behind it. You would think that's just it, but it's a beautiful house. And now we're going to go over to Mount Hope, which is actually right next door. Okay, so the first thing that you actually see when you're walking from the Dudley House to Mount Hope is, well, the giant triangle at the top, but you don't really get to see that as much because of this giant wall that is here. This is actually me holding my camera up in the air, so that's why it's a little shaky. But you see this really old, rotten brick wall, and then over it you see a rectangle, a long porch with some vertical columns and a nice little fence and little walkways and little windows. So I guess some people come to like socialize in the back, and it's kind of I guess the brick wall is kind of there for privacy. And you see along here you also have I guess this would be the side of the house. What a very interesting side of the house. But I'm showing you, I guess, windows here that would also, again, indicate a basement. And then you see this beautiful door with, you know, the square patterned and what am I doing again? And then you go and you see the windows. That is the window that stands out right there, actually, because compared to its counterparts. Okay, I guess now I'm going to show you the door again and the street. Here you see the iron fence, and you can see the cement steps that go up, so you can go up to that door, I guess, from either way if you're coming or going. Okay, back to the window, I guess. We're going to say back to the windows. They're black, the black window panes, and they're pretty much made out of wood. And why am I sleeping in a tree? I thought I was looking at something like this. I'm gonna get a close up. I think I knocked on the window actually to double check that it was wood. Material wise, you have brick and what looks like a lot of wood and a tin storm drain right there. I believe that's what it is. I tacked on that too. I was like on one. And then coming around the side of the house, it's kind of like a peekaboo thing, like another peekaboo thing. It kind of just sneaks up on you. Past all the foliage is what looks to be the actual front door of the house, if I ever get there. The actual front door of the house with a little walkway, and here you can see the columns and the triangular top of it, and it's very reminiscent of the Greek temples and the Greek temples. And then you also see windows. The windows here are not really proportionate, but I guess it has to do with the different forms and shapes. There's lots of triangles and rectangles and a few squares. I think the overall form of it is a rectangle, I believe, or maybe a square. It would be a lot easier to determine if I actually had a floor plan to look at, but I couldn't find one anywhere. And then the two windows here, it seems as though the instead of having open shutters, they're actually closed. So that would be the Mount Hope. And here is another picture that kind of would be able to give a better idea of the lighting on a bright sunny day. From this particular picture, the sunlight is coming from the top right and beaming onto the side that I just showed, which I'm going to go ahead and just say that it's the front of the house. And you know, again, with with this many windows in a house, it should be pretty easy to get natural light to just kind of just pour into whichever room or space that they're in on the inside of the house. But on the outside, the presence of the sun actually brightens up the colors rather than versus what you saw in the actual recording where the lack of sunlight, it just dimmed the whole thing, and it was kind of not really interesting to look at, and it kind of made it dull down a lot. The roof, there's like a little chimney spot up there that I actually missed until I saw this picture. But there's a chimney, and then at the top of the roof is like a kind of a mint green, which at first I thought it would be limestone, but it's not. I think it's just tin, maybe, that was maybe painted or has just kind of gotten old. So old age, but you also see that copied on top of the what I'm going to call the mini Greek building, the little porch overhead. There we go. That's the word. The porch overhead on um, the front of the house. And let's see. I did mention materials. I believe it's brick and wood and some rock and some cement. I think that's rock. But there's cement, and then again, there is a lot of foliage or bushes around the house, but I do believe that it kind of helps to ensure the privacy of the home. I'm not sure if that's always been that way, but that's how it's looking now. So this would be Mount Hope. Now we are moving on to the actual Hope House. This is a very, very large house, and it's kind of in a giant long rectangle. It has multiple vertical um, rectangular forms that come from the top, from the roof. There's definitely a lot of triangle forms, circle forms, rectangle forms, as even just looking at the very front of the house. And then you see that the windows are, the window panes are, or shutters, the window shutters, I've been calling them panes this whole video. The window shutters are actually a dark green, which actually goes beautifully with the rest of the garden and plantage around the house, especially in the summertime when all the plants and trees and things are in full bloom. On the right side, you see where they have like a kind of off porch deck thing, like it's got like a roof over it, and it looks to be made out of wood, and that may have been like a private area for like the family to just like hang out and barbecue. Definitely emphasizing a lot of privacy in this neighborhood. Like they always have like a great point of interest, and then they have a smaller, more tucked away area. So that's something to definitely think about. But it's like a small little rectangle box thing, and I think it has, let's see, it has like a little kind of on the side. It has reminiscent of window shutters, which I think is a nice decorative accent to the house. And then on the, let's see, you see a smaller window at the top, and then you're getting kind of a glimpse of the roof and another one of those vertical rectangle forms that are coming out. You see a lot of the plants were, formed in circles and with a center or something coming out of the middle of it. That means that could definitely prove that this was an area where they were entertaining people a lot, because they took really, really good care of their garden and their plants and whatnot. And off to the side, as you go back around, you can see kind of the side here of a 4-car garage. I'm not really sure if that's a new addition or if it was in the original plan, but the 4-car garage also kind of copies and mimics the actual house with the triangle top, with the triangle form above the door that is also reminiscent of the Greeks. Over here you see a iron archway that has a little path that goes, I guess, behind the garage, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that it comes out in the garden. And then you see another iron gate, I guess, that opens up into that part of the driveway. And then you see like the brick pattern along the ground is actually um, quite beautiful, and it does add a lot of I don't know, a classiness to the whole area. And then here you have a bird bath type thing going on over here with more beautiful trees, and then a different kind of brick actually set in a different pattern. So that's something that you can see in a point of interest. And then there's the gate that I came through that's also made out of iron. Up here you see this, what is this thing? This kind of banister columned porch on top, along with the actual columns that are very reminiscent also of the Greek times. And but there's no door up here, which I find kind of odd. At first, I was imagining the daughter coming out and standing up there in her coming out party, but now I'm seeing her more down on the ground level on the porch here. Again, the Greek style columns that just kind of line and decorate the front porch. And then, I mean, Santa's sleigh wasn't there, but you have like these giant French doors for the front. And then I really think that this is marble that is kind of that's on the porch, or some kind of other fancy cement that I can't put my finger on. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, I don't even know what I'm saying about the marble on the concrete, but I think that now looking back, saying that there was no doorway to enter to get on top on to the really different and odd um, second level porch that kind of just sits over top of the regular porch. I'm gonna go ahead and say the daughter was on the bottom level when she was there, you know, for her coming out party, and everybody was standing in the surrounding area, you know, with the pretty garden and everything like that. So in this particular picture, you can actually see where see how the house is actually definitely can tell the reorientation of the house. And color-wise, you can see that it's a pretty neutral color scheme with the pop of green. I'm not gonna say pop of color, the pop of dark green. And I think that that was kind of a really wise decision, because the dark green goes perfectly with all the different plants and trees and flowers that they have around. So they kind of emphasizes maybe their love of nature, or their you know, how much they love plants like everybody else, because they just seem to have a whole lot. Okay, I'm done ranting. And then you can kind of see their roof is a pale mintish, maybe mintish green. I can't really tell in this picture, but I couldn't tell when I was there either. I couldn't really decide what to call it. But then you have your white and your creams, and your, of course, your bricks, which were kind of random, which I think was, but it's also a really great touch. And then material wise, you have you know, these iron gates. There's a lot of iron used for molding things, and there's also a lot of cement used for molding things, which is really nice. There's a lot going on with this house, but I believe that it doesn't really take away. So I think it just makes it all the more beautiful. And yeah, so um, that is the Hope House. So that was my final exam. And I don't know, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I made sense, and I hope I get an A. And at the end, I also inserted my two selfies um, of me at the Dudley house, and then I have one of me at the Hope house. I actually forgot to do the one for Mount Hope, but I think I'm just let that go. So there's that, and then um, the images that I used, I also got from the Gratz Park website, which I will also put a link to at the end of the video and in the description box below. I think. Yes, that's it. So, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.